It's probably good too.
Hey, and we are live this morning. Well, welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. This morning, we are flipping the mic today, and I'm your host, Richelle Shaw. And today, we are truly have an exciting episode in store for you. We are thrilled to have our regular host, Craig Valine, the renowned marketing consultant, mentor, strategist, joining us for a fascinating discussion on the topic flipping the mic, turning everything around. For over 25 years, my friend, this guy over here, Craig Valine, has been helping entrepreneurial business owners break free from slow or stagnant growth with his extensive experience. As an independent business provider with Dan Kennedy's and Bill Glazer's GKIC organization, that's where we all met, right? Craig has successfully worked with and coached hundreds of entrepreneurs and professionals from various industries. In today's interview, we're going to delve into Craig's journey of how we found Dan in the first place, Dan Kennedy in the first place, and his really pivotal role in starting the local chapter of GKIC in Pasadena, LA area. It was one of the biggest chapters. They were known for their events. People came from everywhere. I used to come from Las Vegas to join his events, and I was a longtime member of his paid mastermind so that I could learn from him and the other people there. We're going to explore the types of businesses Craig works with and how he leverages all of his marketing to increase their visibility, but more important, their profitability. If you've ever wondered how to overcome growth plateaus or uncover unlocked marketing assets, you won't want to know. I know, like it's like over the new teeth today, right? Craig Valine, welcome to the guest seat on the
Wow. It's a unique feeling to be on this side and listen to your introductions. You're so eloquent. Thank you so much.
Well, it's fun to know you, right? And to be able to brag about you. When we're done with this episode, I think everybody's going to realize why we, the 12 of us, former of the top IBAs, picked him as our host, right? And picked him as the one to lead this show and really help everybody really figure out like what's going on with their marketing and how that all happens. But, we all came together as friends from Dan, right? And that's how we got there. So tell us about your journey of how, Dan Kennedy came into your life.
Yeah, I have lived in LA twice, and this is my second time. So the first time I was here, I was, very much into Tony Robbins and stuff like that, personal development. And I was on a bunch of mailing lists at that time, not email lists or internet lists, mailing lists. And this was like in 1991. And I got a invitation to go to the Peter Lowe seminar. And I think it was called something else, but it was run by Peter Lowe. And I went, and it was at the Forum in Inglewood, if you know that. So it was at the Forum, and
where the Lakers used to play.
I went to Lakers games and Kings games there. This is so long ago, but right. Now it's Kia Forum or something like that. But anyway, I had gone there, and I had stayed the whole day and everything, and I was about to leave. And as Dan tells in his trademark story, is like, I got 10 seconds to grab the people walking out, running to their cars to say something. And he had said the right thing to had me turn around. And it was basically, does your sales and marketing suck? Something to that effect. I forget the exact sentence, but it, just made me turn around. And so I did. And I sat and I waited, and I figured I'm going to be stuck in traffic anyway. I might as well stay. So I sat through his magnetic marketing presentation. And at the end, I loved everything he had to say, but at the end, he had, you go down on the floor and you buy his product and everything. And I just didn't have any money at the time. And so, I just kind of like, So fast forward 2 years later, I had moved back to Boston, and I got an invitation in the mail because I was probably on his list. I think I filled out a form or something anyway, just to be on his list. And I got something regarding Jeff Paul. Jeff Paul's make $4,000 a day sitting in your underwear at your kitchen table.
Yep.
And Dan's book was the gift. It was the number one secret to success or something like that. It was a pink book at the time, and I loved it. I loved it. I was like, "Yay! I've got Dan Kennedy back." I've got this little sample. So again, fast forward one more year, and I'm walking through Copley Square in Boston, and I have a buck in my pocket in change, and I've got a Boston Tea Pass. That's all I had to my name at the time. And there was this store called Buck a Bookstore. So every book was a buck. And I walked in the door, and right there in the foyer was a barrel full of Ultimate Marketing Plan books.
Ah,
And so I grabbed that book and I started reading. I noticed Dan Kennedy, right? First edition. And I still have that book, by the way. I'm reading it in the back of the store. And finally, the girl comes up to me 2 hours later and says, "Hey, mister, you going to buy the book or what?" Nice Boston accent there. So I remember I got up to the counter and all I had was that dollar and change, and it was $1.05 for tax. And so fortunately she kind of moves over a little penny jar of five pennies, and I was able to get the book. But that book changed my life, and I'll tell you how. One of the secrets in the book is tie your message into what's currently occurring in the prospect's mind.
yep.
And I had been not selling. I had been teaching karate on at nights at a friend's studio outside the city, and on the news every day there were muggings happening on Boston Common, and it was in the news every day. And I thought, how can I tie what I do into what's happening in the news? And so my friend and I created a program called Common Sense Self Defense, and we went around to businesses around within a mile radius of Boston Common, and we said, we'll teach your employees self defense either during lunch or after hours. And it was very nominal fee, but it was enough to make a difference to me.
Yeah.
And we got tons of people, and many of those people came to become long-term students outside this at the studio outside the city. But that one idea, when I implemented it, changed my life.
Sure.
And so Dan became the guy. So, and I always say this at my chapter meetings, and I tell that story. It's like if you just hear one idea tonight and you put it into action, it can change your world.
That's it. That's it. And I think so often that people forget that it is just about just pick one, right? The one thing that Dan taught us was, diversity leads to stability, right?
Right.
However, like doing 15 things and running around, you're just going to be overwhelmed. Would you agree?
Yeah. I always say I have to have the caveat. The goal is to have a diverse number of things working at the same time, but master one, let it work, make sure it's working, and then try the second thing, because the one thing can change your life. But, especially when you go to a seminar, like I have tons of notepads. In fact, I wrote my book based on all the notes I had from Dan Kennedy seminars, and I shared my notes in the book, and every hand side of the page is a note from it. It has nothing to do with what's going on the other page, but it's just a note, a big aha, right? Mm-hmm. But if you just put one thing into action, it can change your world. And once that's running and systematically, then add another. And then same thing with that, then another. Then, you have that marketing Parthenon we talked about. You have multiple legs holding up the roof of revenue, right? Yeah. That's not a great visual, but
I got it. I totally got it, right?
Versus 1 versus 4, holding up a roof, right?
Sure.
So
Sure. Well, what do you think, like, most businesses that struggle and hit like a plateau? I see it all the time that when you go in, like they've been doing the same 250,000 for the last, 5 or 6 years, and then it dips to about 180, and they don't even know how to get it back to the 250. What would you say, the number one thing that you see?
Well, I have a comprehensive checklist of things that I go through, to see what they're doing right now. What's the current, what was working? What was your best strategy? What was the thing that was always working? And, what was the best media that they were using? What was the best type of customer that they had? And we go through that very analytically to determine, is there a profile? number one, is there a profile of the type of client that we used to deal with that maybe we're
Mhm.
not dealing with anymore? And
Mhm.
then go back to them, go back to the list, right? Then there's the media. It's like, we decide, a lot of people who were successful in direct marketing and direct mail and all that stuff started using the internet, and all of a sudden things started to change, right?
Mhm.
And then, then we look at what was your biggest payday? What was the best product that you served, that you had, that made the difference? And what it really means, what really kind of comes down to, is going back to the things that worked before,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? I mean, that's really what it is. And so a lot of people just stop doing what worked because they get bored of it.
I
They
was going to
think
ask you, why do you think they stopped doing what worked? Like what was their mindset at the time?
it's pure boredom. Or
Mhm.
someone recommended it, someone who doesn't know better, someone who thinks something new and shiny should come out. And
Mhm.
sure, there's benefit to new and improved and all that stuff, more new than improved. But the point being is that the business owner gets tired of it,
Yeah.
and the employees get tired of it. But if it's working and it's producing money and it's producing a customer and producing profit, then keep going until they say stop, until the numbers prove otherwise, right?
Yes. 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 Just had this same scenario, right?
Yeah,
The owner is bored
is bored.
and is not inspired. Well, wait a minute, right? Like so you shut down everything because you're bored and uninspired. Like what? So what's your recommendation to people like that? Like when they say, "Well, I just don't want to do it that way anymore."
Well, my first recommendation is keep doing what is working.
Right.
And if they want to change up, then I say, then you have to test to find what will replace it. You can't just remove that, because then you lack the revenue coming into the business. But I
Right.
do encourage testing. You know, Number one, if you have an additional product that you think that can replace it, or you think something, ask your list. Do bring in a guest who's an expert, or like this, right? Interview you, or interview a member, interview a customer, interview a client, and get the answers to there's surveys work, but live surveys are good. Getting feedback from people, getting on the phone, calling your customers, saying, what do you like, what do you hate, what do you love, what would you change, that sort of thing is simple to do, but people are afraid, number one, to get on the phone, number two, they don't want to do the extra work.
Very.
um, and
I was
that's
going to
kind of
ask you.
sometimes.
So
What's that?
when they're afraid, right? Because
Yeah,
I noticed that a lot of owners are like, oh, well, what will they say, and how do I call, and when do I call?
yeah,
Do y'all do that for them, or do you have?
I will do that for them.
Mhm.
I'm willing to do it for them, or I'm willing to hire someone to do it for them. um, we've done it for I work with a concrete vendor,
Sure.
someone who makes products and solutions for the concrete industry. And we have just put out plain 9-word email questions. If you're not familiar with 9-word emails, they're from Dean Jackson, and they're very simple questions, personal questions. And it says, "Are you still interested in, or do you like our product? What would you change?" Something's very, very simple, but it's got to be personal and not look like it's coming from going out to a whole list. It looks like it's coming just to you.
Sure.
But because of that, because it's personal, you get more personal responses back. So that's one way to do it. The other ways are just to pick up the darn phone. From the number one, you can do it from the people who are buying on a regular basis and say, "Do you like a product? What would you change? What would you keep the same? Um, what if something could replace it? What would that be?" Sort of things like that. It's just simple, but in this day and age, in digital and phones and all that stuff, people are afraid of human connection. And
Yeah.
there is an age, Gen X, we Gen X people, who can still appreciate it, even though
Yeah.
we'd still use our phone. But
Yes.
um, I'm still not afraid to pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, how are you?" It's the best way to build relationships. Number one, and just the fact, if you call and say, "I'm calling for two reasons. Number one, I'm calling to say thank you, or hello, or how are you, and how are you doing, and what can I do to help?" And number two, "I have a question about a product. Would you be willing to answer that question?"
That's ideal. And I think so many people miss that piece,
Yeah,
right? They skip it, and they think that they can either automate it, or just let's send an email. Let's just, oh, I don't want to, right? Like all of these digital tools
right.
have created barriers. right?
Right.
Barriers to entry, and sometimes I think barriers to money.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Like, what would you tell us a success story about someone who had some low visibility and you flip that around for them? And tell us some good news, right? Because we're almost halfway in, by the way. So,
Yeah.
so look, we've got 2 questions. I've got 17 to ask him. So let's
I don't know if we'll get through 17, but we'll answer this question. So the concrete vendor, great
ah,
example.
yeah.
So he, at the very minimal, he was emailing once a month to his customers. He was the kind of guy that go on the road for a week and pick a region and stop by and just say hello. So he was typical regular salesperson, just kind of knocking on the door. Now he wouldn't just cold call. He kind of let them know he's going to be in the area and he was going to have some new things to show them, but it was really relationship building. But that worked for him. He at least had revenue coming in, but he was at best a $300,000 company. He was $1 million company waiting to be. Does that make sense? He was a $300,000 company waiting to be $1 million company.
Yep. See it every day.
And so one of the things that I do is, number one, it's like, the first thing I want to do is, does that work? Great. Continue doing that. But let's also reach out to people so we're the first people they think about. So we started creating email campaigns and just basic, I started writing in his voice. Hey, Les Conard here from Watch Out Watchdog, and then just the kind of I get questions all the time every time I'm on the road. And one time I was up in Northern California, this guy said, the number one thing that's most important to my drivers is safety. And so we designed a whole thing around safety. And that's what everybody else is thinking too, all the owners of the concrete, companies. So we started doing that. And then on holidays, I started doing Jib Jab videos. And if you're not familiar with Jib Jab is they're animated videos where you can place your face on it. And so I would place his face, his wife's face, his son's face, and then my face. And I'd introduce it like, hey, here's me, here's my wife, here's my son, and here's my marketing guy. And we're all doing dances at Halloween and stuff like that. But and then we also started doing direct mail. So I said, let's direct mail your top 20 clients on a regular basis, or the top 20 people that you want to do business with who haven't done business yet. So those are separate campaigns, but still done. And anyway, a wide array of strategies. Diversity creates stability, as you just said. We could do it because I was doing it, not him. Now, there's a quick thing to do. If you cannot implement the strategy yourself, ask for help.
Yes.
Number one, from one of us, or number two, from your employees, or number three, look for assistance or experts that can help you. So funny story. We're walking through World of Concrete, which is one of the biggest trade shows in Las Vegas, number one. Number two, it's one in that industry. It's one of the biggest. And we're walking through at the end of the show, and a bunch of us together, and someone yells out, "Hey, Les." And we're like, he goes, "Hi." He goes, "How are you?" And Les goes, "I'm sorry, I don't know you." And he goes, "I know you. I'm on your email list. I saw that Jib Jab. It's the funniest thing I ever thought of." And we don't know if that guy ever bought. But the point being is the visibility part, right? We're in front of the people. Number one, we're in front of the people who had come to the booth at our concrete thing. We captured their emails based on their permission, right? Hey, yes, I'd like more information. Every client that we ever had or done business with us, we got permission to email them. All the top 20 people we did business with, all the top 20 people that we want to do business with, they're getting communications from us on a regular basis. That steady flow has increased his business to 1.3 million a year.
Wow.
So that is just, when I say I help people increase visibility, it's like, well, if you're not in front of them, you only relying on hope that they think of you at any time to pick up the phone and call you, because otherwise there's a bunch of other competitors that they can choose. But when we're in front of them until they're ready to buy, and when they're ready to buy, we will be the first one they think of, because number one, I'm doing the marketing, not him, but he's the face of it.
Sure.
And he's such a great guy anyway. And he has so many personalities, meaning he has so many identities. He's also a grandmaster in the Korean martial art Hapkido. So he's got that background. He's a grandfather. He's a husband of 40 years. He's just got so many different identities that we share all of those in those communications. And so he becomes the person of choice just because of that identity, those identities, I should say, and that visibility.
Sure, they can connect in multiple ways, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Dan Kennedy principle.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
Yeah.
the other thing is he also has a salesperson out on the road who's just who
Mm.
he is one salesperson, but who makes his rounds all the way around. So they're still doing that kind of campaigning to just, hey, I'm here. How are you? Good to see you. Is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah.
By the way, on my trailer, I got something to show you. You want to see it? It still works. Still
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, still works. Well, you mentioned that you do direct mail plus email. So, how are you utilizing all of these, Gen Xers, right? Digital tools and mastering those as well as your offline. So, online and offline. Tell us about how you do that for your clients.
Well, most of them are already defaulted to digital because it's easy and they think it's free.
Mm,
So we're doing so depending on, like, if someone like I have a prosthodontist who's restorative dentist, and he just got on TikTok. Now, his generation typically is Gen X and up, right? Gen X, and I forget what the one before us is, but
yeah, yeah,
the point being is they're not hanging out on TikTok,
no,
right? So
no,
I'm not going to waste my energy and time doing that. If he wants to do it on a personal basis, just kind of scroll and everything, fine. But we're not going to do that for his practice. Most of his audience is on YouTube and Facebook,
yep,
right? So that's where we spend the time. So we got to take, to be consistent so it doesn't look like he has an empty page. We have to take down the profiles on those other things that weren't working or that he's not contributing to, and just optimize the ones that are. And optimize means make it more powerful, put more energy into it, put more relevance into it on a regular basis. Um, so we do that, and then we also do, we tie into Google, we tie into Facebook, we tie into anywhere that they're gonna, if they're looking for him or if they want to validate him,
mhm,
meaning, hey, I'm going to refer you to this prosthodontist, Dr. So and so, and they go, oh, I'm going to look at my phone and see who he is. There's tons of content out there to say this is who he is, because we just rotate the content. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every day. If 60 days of content's gone by, we can start back at day one and start it again.
sure,
Maybe with a new headline, a new offer, whatever. But the point, we
sure,
do that. So
sure.
that's the easy stuff. That's the stuff they're already doing that they thought was working, that didn't cost them any money, but it's time, money, energy put into those things. Then I say, well, have you tied into um, referral partners? Now, this doctor had some relationships, but you and I know that we had another doctor that had a big, huge referral partnership ring, that I implemented what I learned from that doctor, working with that doctor, to this doctor. And he's got a whole network of referral partners that refer to him on a regular basis. And we nurtured that relationship on a regular basis. So up until recently, I was delivering a gift and a letter tied to a unique holiday, that
Yeah.
creates personal connection. It's not just like, hey, here's a gift for your office. Think of me when you need me. No, no. We have to create a connection device. So we created a letter, which the orthodontist client that I used to work with, who's passed on right now, but is a legend in our world, in the Dan Kennedy world. Um, he had created stories tied to unique holidays like Root Beer Float Day, um, Jelly Bean Week,
Yes.
um, some many others. It's just so many I can't even
Sure.
think of them all. But we
Well,
would once a month we tie into a different unique holiday, bring a gift in, and I'm telling you, when I would bring the gift in, they get so excited, because it's not just about the treat; it's about what's in the letter that I get to read to connect me with Dr. So and so.
yeah,
You know, and so that's an offline thing, right? Then
sure.
we send direct mail letters to the referral partner, or we send newsletters, right? Newsletter, actual paper newsletter you get in the mail. Sometimes we send books, right?
Mm.
Books in the mail as gifts to say, here's what I'm reading, and I thought you could benefit from it too. Now we're not bribing them. I mean, it's an ethical bribe if you think about it. It's just a gift, but it's like you're treating them like dear and valued friends,
Sure.
right? And we're
Sure.
not just treating them like, hey, I just want your business. No, we're saying, hey, I'm giving you some things of value because they have benefited me, and I trust you, and all the levels of things that go on in business. We're just capitalizing them on a diverse number of things at the same time, right?
Sure.
And then we
Sure.
do direct mail too, sometimes for special offers. So in his neighborhood, he happens to live in a very high net worth neighborhood, and so we've done marketing direct mail campaigns for implants, for restorative dentistry, for all teeth cleaning, whatever will get them in the door. But
Sure.
it's not just one thing. And again, he can do it because someone else is doing it for him. So in your world with the MDE agency, right? You do
Yeah.
that too for those doctors who can't think, for the strategies that you recommend and you implement for them, right?
Well, it's always, it's, I think that most people get stuck, right?
Yeah.
With what should I do? When should I do? When should I do it? I don't have any time. And they end up doing it, at 10 o'clock at night while their spouse is unhappy. But what I loved about, your example of helping this particular prosthodontist is that you use the exact same thing that got you involved in the Dan Kennedy world,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a like full circle moment, so
Right.
that you took the same thing, you tied it to what was going on in
Mhm.
the
Prosperous
prospect's
Marine.
head already, and help them connect it, which is so awesome, is how you just keep using those same proven strategies. That's kind of the thing that I love about Dan so much, is that no matter what, nothing is wasted. Like what we learned 20 years ago
Right.
is still relevant. What you learned in 91, like what almost 40 years ago, is still relevant, and it's still working, and you're still generating income from that same dollar investment. What an ROI is that?
I don't even know the number. It's so high.
Yeah, it's just so doggone high. Well, we've got only a couple of minutes left, so let's get to, tell me, like, what advice would you give to businesses that are struggling to increase their visibility and break through the growth plateaus? Like, give me like the first 5 things you think that they should do.
Yeah. Number one, do something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If you're watching this right now, this is one way to do it. Number one is do either videos or podcasts, right?
yeah.
This podcast we're doing live on video, but it gets transcribed and edited for other videos. Number one, for an audio video, which gets put on the platform. So we're on YouTube, number one, and then we get the audio gets uploaded to Spotify podcast platform and then dispersed. So that's omnipresence right there, right? It's like and that's the benefit of having a marketing asset, is that you can cut it up and use it in multiple ways. The other thing that I do with this is this will be chopped up into multiple videos based on the questions that you asked, right? So that's another way to do it. So 3 ways to use the same content. And the fourth way, if you have the transcript, you can use those for social media posts, right? Chop them up,
Absolutely.
and there are softwares like I use Cast Magic, and it breaks it up into what she said, what he said, multiple different summaries that I can use for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for Twitter, for all those things. And now we have 4 pieces of content right now that make me more visible to the outside world. I will say this first before I continue on the 5th one is 2 things actually. Number one, be where your ideal client is supposed to be. Now, could you be on your TikTok? Could you be on Twitter and someone might find you if they're not usually on there? Sure, right? But the point being, make sure first and foremost you where they are, where they hang out, right?
Sure.
Um, the second thing is my friend Michael Levine, who's a legendary publicist in the celebrity world, says without visibility there is no credibility. So in this day and age, his complete quote is, in this day and age of technology, without visibility, there's no credibility. So if you want to, number one, build relationships with your existing clients, because I email this out on Thursday mornings and I let them know there's a new episode available. So I'm letting my existing list know. But people who come along, like we've had several viewers here who I don't know who they are, but they're still watching now. Thank you very much, by the way. Will be found on YouTube. And the more that I announce it on Facebook and stuff like that will get more viewers, and it comes up in people's menus based on their topics and stuff like that. So the thing is, be in multiple places simultaneously. Um, you know, it's easy to use one piece of content several different ways. And so you can automate that. You do not, I do it personally because of just my life situation. I'm taking care of my wife. I'm not out networking and going to events. I'm home most of the day. So I do that myself. However, if I was not, then I would hire it out and give it to somebody who follows my instructions and does what I need them to do. And you could do that on Fiverr. You could just kind of seek a virtual assistant. You could do that any other way, or you could seek out an agency or someone else to do that for you. But it's pretty simple. All you have to do is produce one piece of content that's about 15, 20, 30 minutes long. You know, do it by interviewing another person. You know, I usually interview Richelle. Richelle's interviewing me today. And but yet that's all marketing assets that you own if you do something like this on a regular basis. And
Awesome.
so the point being, I'm going to wrap it up. When you're stuck in your growth, and just start making yourself more visible, because number one, Richelle and I work together a lot. A lot of the other people that have been on the show, we work together a lot. We connect, we share ideas, we do everything. Connect with other people. You can't solve problems all by yourself. You need to be exposed to other people to help you idea generate, or to hear something you've already heard before but you forgot. Like Richelle and I have similar experience in the marketing world, yet she'll say something brilliant. I go, holy crap, I forgot all about that. So
Yes.
Anyway, hope that made sense.
I forget to tie it to what's going on in the current market. Like when you just gave me that example, I had like 15 ways that we used to do that, right? And I think sometimes, especially if you are a seasoned entrepreneur and have been doing this a while, like we have, is that we tend to forget a couple of little things, or how you got there, or what it is. But what an incredible show today of the most incredible marketing show ever. We do have a free gift pack for fans of the show. So every single person that, if you have come and watched us, we're at somewhere around 60, 65 episodes now. So we've been doing this quite a while. So you can go to www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com and get the free gift pack for fans of the show. Just give us your email address. We promise we won't spam you, but we will deliver lots and lots of gifts for you so that you can build your own amazing business. I always say $1 million, sorry.
I know.
But so that you can build your amazing business. My friend Craig Valine, because he doesn't sell himself, so I'm going to do that for him really quick. He doesn't even know that I'm going to do this. So he is the most amazing fractional CMO ever. And if you are looking for somebody who come in and just give you the ideas and help you hire the people to get stuff done, I'm not going to cuss because I'm a cusser, but I'm not going to, then that's where you need to go to Craig Valine. If you, below this video, if you're watching it, if you want to connect with him, just leave your information. Also, you can grab us, you can subscribe to our YouTube if you want to kind of check him out. But most of the time he's behind the scenes, right? He's interviewing other experts. He's not really showing off all the things that he wants to do, but you can set up a call to talk to him at craigvalinemarketing.com. There's lots of places where you can find him and really get the gist of just what he does. Like he is a giver. So we already talked about how he drops off gifts. That's just who he is, what he does. I think you can see on this side, my cup that's there. That was a gift from Craig. Lots of great stuff today. You knocked it out of the park. There it is. You knocked it out of the park, Mr. Valine. Just really sharing with them, number one, how to connect it to what's going on in the prospect's mind. Like that's half the battle. If you do that, your copywriting doesn't even have to be great. Number two, how you talked about, all of the prongs of the foundation, making sure that they've got a great foundation with 4, 5, 6 different things that they're doing, building upon them. And then the third really key highlight that you brought together and brought home is not only using online, but offline things to marry and do a kick out, knockout punch, right? To your customers, how your dream client went from 300,000 to 1.3 just by adding a couple of additional emails and personality and the things that you can do. So if you want to add another $1 million to your business, go see my friend Craig Valine, CraigValineMarketing.com. You can grab some of our other just shows, see what we're doing, YouTube at Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever, and also by going to www.themostincrediblemarketingshow.com, and you can go get your free gifts that we would love to give you just for being a fan of the show. So, gee, Will Liquors, how'd I do?
You did wonderful. You did wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a little nerve-wracking being on the side, even though I've been doing this for 27 years. So
right. It always is like, oh my goodness, well, what? But then, you just get on and knock it out of the park and just tell stories about all of your clients that you've worked with and just drop gems. And I think everybody got some value out of today.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for interviewing me. What a special treat. Thank you for being you. And we will see Richelle again on our show very shortly. And we'll get some gems out of her again as well. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Richelle. Thank you for watching. We'll be here live again next Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then, of course, on Thursdays, you can follow us on any of your favorite platforms to the audio version. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, my honor to serve.
Awesome.